Mm, mm. Well, good evening and welcome to Jen Cares, powered by Chosen Counselors. I'm your host, Jen Cares, the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so very much for tuning in each week, for coming back and watching again, for liking, for sharing, and commenting. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say special thanks to Manny Santiago, who joined us last week, talking about financial planning. Hey, we have to make a plan to make sure our finances are where they need to be. And if you don't know how to do it, I encourage you to connect with someone who specializes in that area to help make sure your finances are in order. So many great nuggets were shared. Be sure to check that out if you missed it. This month's theme is the elephant in the room. And we love having some tough conversations. I want all of us, actually, I want the best for all of us. And that's why we do it. So last week we talked about financial planning. Tonight we're going to talk about cuffing season 101. I know y'all may act like y'all don't know what it is, but we're going to break it down for you on tonight. And next week we're going to have Speak Up. So let's get into it. Tonight we have with us Levone Canady, who's going to talk to us about cuffing season 101, tongue tied, tongue twisted. So help me welcome Levone Canady.
Hey, thanks for having me
Woo!
tonight.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well. How are you feeling?
I won't complain. It's a great day.
That's right.
Yes, yes. So over here at Jen Cares, we always start with a quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is: each relationship nurtures a strength or weakness within you. Mike Murdoch. Again, each relationship nurtures a strength or weakness within you. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's so true. We hear all of these cliche statements all the time. Somebody's around for a season or a reason. A blessing or a lesson.
Mhm.
And again, it's so true. And a lot of times when we think of weaknesses, we don't necessarily we think of them as like like a faulty thing. Whereas though hey, it may be just something where you're just stretching yourself too thin. That could be a weakness of yours. Just offering yourself to somebody consistently and constantly. And
Mhm.
again, in relationships that could become one-sided sometimes, where somebody's always giving and other person's always receiving. So
Mhm.
like my grandma used to say, start out how you're going to finish out. But the
Ooh.
reason behind that was, hey, you want to make sure that you're setting boundaries and things like that, so that a person doesn't become, I guess, reliant upon that quote unquote weakness. Maybe it'd be you giving yourself too much time to this person, or always extending yourself and putting other things to the back burner, or choosing them over, going out with friends or something along those lines. So
Mm.
yeah, I totally agree with that
So you really ready already? Because you talking about boundaries and things. What we need those for? Those important?
statement. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, boundaries are, man, like, oh man, like, where do you even start with that question? Boundaries are like super important, just simply because it helps you navigate the relationship better, because you got a keen sense of, hey, this is what I want, this is
Mm-hmm.
how I would like to be treated,
Mm-hmm.
this is the things that I'm into, this is what I like to do when so again, you're just outlining all of this stuff for yourself, and it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like a little manual for a person, like how to treat this person.
Yes.
So it really benefits both parties, you know what I mean? Just understanding clear cut what boundaries are, but most importantly, just again, understanding what they are and what they mean to you. So
What they are and what they
definitely.
mean to you. Mm. I want to keep going with that. But friends, as always, I have prepared some questions. But if you have any questions, comments, be sure to drop them below. Um, so let's hop in today, and then I'll get into telling us about yourself. So how does one let somebody know what their boundaries are, like how they want to be treated? What does that look like? Because I know some people that struggle with that. Like they're upset because I do this, this, and this, and they don't do it for me. Like, how does that work?
Um, it's really it's almost like it's almost like trial and error. You know what I mean? Because you don't you got you're still figuring, especially if you're a young adult. You know what I mean? You're
Mhm.
figuring this stuff out as you go. I'm still figuring out myself. I'm still figuring out some of the things that I like and I don't like,
Yes.
my strengths, my weaknesses. This is an ongoing thing. It's like a living document. It doesn't
Mhm.
just stop. The moment you find out, or you come to this peak, like, hey,
Yes.
this is all the things that I like. So this is something that is ever ongoing, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
That's the easiest way I would put that.
Got it. Got it. We're gonna learn tonight. That's what we're here to do. So,
Yes,
friends, share if you care to let somebody else know the importance of relationships. That's what we're talking about tonight.
yes, ma'am.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Levon?
Well, for starters, I grew up around North Philadelphia on 30th and Diamond. Went to Strawberry Mansion High School. Went to college. Graduated both colleges. I worked for WAR, Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence, for about 8 years. So I was doing a lot of healthy masculinity work, primary prevention of sexual violence, groups with a lot of young men, co-ed groups as well. I'm a community advocate, and ambassador for healthy masculinity. I'm a community advocate for against, sexual violence and assault. And yeah, like I said before, and I also advocate and help individuals in my community with health and wellness, by hosting local fit camps and things like that. So just trying to stay active and keep community ties together, because this the city that we're living in, and the times that we're living in, so so critical to just keep those keep people tethered together.
Right, right. I like this. Normally when I hear war, first thing that comes to mind is like the females that get supported there. I have referred many there, but it's nice to hear about the men that's getting the support. Can we talk about that piece? How did you even get into that piece, and what is the passion that helps you to work in that piece?
Well, again, back to something that I learned back in college, and it still holds true to this day. It wasn't what I knew; it was who I knew.
Mm,
And again, you just never know who's watching. You know what I mean? As
yeah.
far as just the way you represent yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, the way you think, all of those things really matter. So I was actually offered an opportunity by a friend of mine who
Mm-hmm.
informed me that, hey, somebody's walking out the door. This would be a perfect opportunity to get your feet wet and come into a career field, like this. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I never even thought about, which is a privilege as a cisgendered heterosexual male. I never even thought about, sexual violence. I had to think about it in that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas those educating, preventing it, intervention, none of that stuff. So when the opportunity arose, I actually I actually seized it, because it was a job with purpose. It was a career with, it had some meaning behind it. It gave me a sense of immediate gratification a bit anytime I went
Mm-hmm.
into a classroom or talked to a young adult, or even talked to an adult or referred them to services. It was like, you helped that person that day. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just, got a sense of, accomplishment in that kind. At least I did. I got a sense of accomplishment in that kind of way. Like, I helped somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
that felt good.
Very nice, very nice. So being an advocate for someone is definitely rewarding, and to be able to see the benefits of it, that definitely can motivate you to keep on going.
Yeah.
So tonight's theme is cuffing season, and it's funny because a couple of people was like, "Well, what's cuffing season?" I said, "You got to tune in to find out." So
Right.
tonight I want to break down what cuffing season is, um, because it's an elephant in the room. People don't talk about it, but it's going on. What
It
is cuffing season to you?
Yeah, you're right. And when you said the elephant in the room, I understood it. Like, at least in my head, I was visioning like, hey, nobody wants to talk about it, but we
Yes.
all know it's there. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So again, cuffing season, just in my opinion, and everybody may have different opinions about this, but for me, it's a time where you are, again, I guess you could say, throwing yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable. You're trying to, gain the interest of somebody that you may have your eye on, or show that person that you're interested in them. um, on the flip side, sometimes it can be done for convenience. So that's not necessarily a good thing all the time. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to be with you because it's convenient for them. Because when it's not convenient for them, they'll treat you as such for the most part. So again, yeah, the cuffing season is that time of the year too, and it never happens during the summer, right? Like
Not
nobody.
the summertime. Nobody wants it during the summer.
No. Nobody wants to be cuffed during the summer at all. That takes another level of, in my opinion, another level of maturity and relationship to be in a long term relationship with another individual, and really
Mm-hmm.
make it work and make it last, and all of that other stuff that comes with that. But yeah, cuffing season normally happens. It starts around roughly, people start to kind of getting there, how they say, putting their applications in. They
Yes.
start to do
Yes.
that around I want to say September, October-ish, when it starts to
Mm-hmm.
get a little cold, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, and that's the meaning behind it, because people want to get close to people. And then you got the Thanksgiving and the Christmas holiday, and people are still, people feeling warm and fuzzy around that time of the year, even if you don't celebrate the holiday, right? It's just
Yes.
a good time of the year. Things are slowing
Mm-hmm.
down and things like that. Then you got the new year, everybody's feeling all invigorated,
Yes.
new, fresh. Then you got Valentine's Day. So it's a really nice
Yes.
curve of a a part of, it's not a whole year, but it's a roughly about 5 or 6 months, give or
Hmm.
take. But again, the unfortunate part, once that weather starts to break, people start to, acting a little different, or, a person may want to split. They're not as available as they used to be. So, you got to just, you really got to be careful around this time. It's just in my opinion, because it's tough, because you want to put yourself out there. You want to be vulnerable. You want to like this person, but you got to also ask yourself the other question: is this person really interested in or liking me for the same reasons? So,
Mm. We're gonna break that down some more too. That was good. It's definitely interesting as the weather is changing. People are coming around, like it goes down in the DMs, like somebody's trying to link up, like, "Hey, how you
mhm,
doing?" and things of that sort.
mhm,
And unfortunately, sometimes it works out how you thought it would. Sometimes you are settling, and it made me think of like Lifetime movies, Lifetime movies or the Hallmark movies rather around Christmas time.
yeah,
A day for Christmas, so they got somebody during a holiday, so they can have somebody for Thanksgiving, have somebody for Christmas, because they get tired of grandma saying, "You ain't got nobody yet. What you doing, sugar?" Or mom and dad saying, "Well, you want to have some kids," and things of that sort. So if they have somebody to bring home for the holidays, a little bit after Valentine's Day, say, "Oh, it didn't work out. We broke up," because that's normally what can happen
right, right.
when the
I mean,
season has come to an end.
even a quick story for me, but again, I don't want anybody to think that it's impossible to find somebody that you really like and care for and get into a long-standing relationship around cuffing season, because
Mhm.
I found my wife during cuffing season. It wasn't
Mhm.
something that but again, I wasn't looking for it at that time. I was just in a different space in my life. So, that's
Mhm.
another story, neither here nor there. But again, I found my wife, at the time, my mate, I found her in Octoberish, Novemberish. So
Mhm.
again, right around the same time. And we of course, as younger adults at the time, we probably had the same, reservations, thinking about, it being cuffing season, having our antennas up and just being aware of what's going on around us. But,
Mhm.
essentially, we, again, just back to what we were talking about earlier, we were mindful of each other's boundaries. We talked a lot, we communicated a lot. I know we want to talk about that later, so I'm not going to,
Mhm.
get too much into that. But yeah, I found my wife during cuffing season. So it's not to say it's not, an impossible task, but
Mhm.
again, you just got to be still aware of, a lot of different things.
Got it. So one of my questions was like trying to like find out the advantages and disadvantages. And I like the piece that you said that because you both were aware that it was cuffing season, you just talked more. You were intentional in the communication to know, like, no, this is not just for a season. I'm like digging you a little bit, and this could go further than just these couple of months and things of that sort. What are some other things to be mindful of? Um, because I'm hearing from some friends that people are dropping in. You get some messages sometimes and you feel like, "Oh my gosh, my knight in shining armor," or like, "Oh, he's nice," and you might be getting catfish. Anything is possible. What are some pointers that you would give to somebody of the pluses and downsides and what to be mindful of?
Oh man, so if I were to give pros and cons of this time of the year, the pros, again, somebody may be interested in you, you're interested in someone else. That level of flirting and just putting yourself out there and kind of makes you feel good about yourself. Um, somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody, you actually got somebody that you can, say, hey, I'm messing with that person, I'm in a relationship with that person, me and that
Mm-hmm.
person go together, whatever the tagline that they want to use, you can say that. So those pros, you got somebody that's like, in your mind, you're thinking about that person. You got somebody to talk to it on a late night. You got somebody to, again, go on dates with, and just go on outings together. So a lot of real good pros, in my opinion, just, and thinking about it in that way, just,
Mm-hmm.
with the connection piece. The cons, though, I hate to make it seem like it's so bad, but it's like, the cons you got to be worried about, because again, the biggest one for me, I'll say the biggest con is, are you are you being kind? That's the
Mm.
biggest con. Are you
Right.
being kind? Like, is this
Right.
person again, back to what I said, start out how you're going to finish out. Is this person going to continue these same behaviors? Are they going to continue, or at least continue to a respective level? Like, sometimes when you get in a relationship, you may not just have no time at a point in time. Certain things change, times change, school lets back in, or, book club starts back up, sports start back up. So things happen. So, but again, that's the biggest thing I'm concerned about. A person showing so much, feverish interest, and then once they've obtained whatever it is, whatever level of relationship they wanted to have with you, or whatever level of intimacy they wanted, they tend to I guess you could say fall back.
Or ghost, as they say as well.
Yeah, that's possible too, because ghost is an entirely different thing than fall back. Fall back is like an easing of it. It's kind of like letting you off slowly but surely. Like, I'm kind of in contact with you, but I'm it's not as much. Ghosting is just like MIA, straight off the map. Like, no sign, no signal, no call, no text, nothing. So, and that has happened to people, and it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because that leaves a scar on that person, that because that person really, emotional scar in that regard. That person really put themselves, I would assume that person really put themselves out there in a way where, again, they made themselves vulnerable, and it really distorts your view on relationships going forward. You're a bit more guarded. So that's the other parts of that con, because again, it just unfolds into all this other stuff. Because if you're being conned, then it's like, everybody's a liar, all people that's like, that talk, walk, or act like this person is, in the same boat. And another quick tidbit about that, I just thought about, one of my wife's past relationships wasn't too good. My birthday is the same exact day as that guy's. So that, like, she told me, like, that set off all kinds of red flags in her head. And I was nothing like the guy. Like she said, you got characteristics, yes, you're nice, you're sweet, and all of that, but it's still night and day, from what he tells me. So again, it was, again, red flags can go off, about something too that you may see, but sometimes that's another thing too. I would guess on a kind of in the middle. You want to kind of like, navigate your way, understand yourself, understand your boundaries, understand your words, just what your likes are, your dislikes are, and just streamline that information and do your best to make the best decision about wherever you want to take that relationship at. So.
Very good. I also just want to do a plug that conning can happen at any time of the year. Customer season is maybe a little heightened because somebody wants a warm place to be.
Yes.
But it can happen in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and any other month you want to put in that year. So you always want to be mindful. And that's part of the conversation tonight of what to be mindful for when pursuing relationships to keep yourself safe. But you mentioned something about emotional scars. So let's talk about that, because that can cause us to, it takes an effect on how we choose people, one,
Yeah.
and how we treat the people that we do choose, and
Good
how
ones.
much of ourselves we really give when we're in
All,
those situations.
all good ones. All good ones. All good ones. I especially like that, how we treat people going forward, and how much we let that person in. That's super big. But yeah, those emotional scars, it's like, it's unfortunate, because again, things are going to happen in relationships that's going to, that's going to hurt us. And as many times people may tell us about it, we'll never be prepared for it, because it just has to, because it has to happen. And, it's just the part of, growing pains of relationships. So again, even with that emotional scar, and I just look at it like, it's baggage to a degree. And I don't mean baggage in a bad way. It's just something you're holding. You know what I mean? You're just holding this on you. You haven't really, come to terms with whatever it was. You haven't really moved past it, whatever it may be. But that's that baggage that I believe, other people do tend to pay for. And like I said before, it's really just an unfortunate thing, because when you're so young, you know what I mean, so much is going to change, and it doesn't feel like it at that time, but so much is going to change. And but you still may carry that same exact baggage. You might not have moved past it because you haven't allowed yourself to really process it. You get what I'm saying? So I always just like kind of think about when I'm thinking about like anger or anything like that, I think about this Mahatma Gandhi quote that I've grown to love, and he said, "Holding on to anger is like holding on to hot coals. The only person that gets
Mm,
burned is you." And that makes so
mm,
much sense. That person's going on living their life,
right,
doing whatever it is they want to do, probably moved on to another relationship. And you're still holding on to this, to this pain. And I'm not, and that's not to diminish whatever that person's done to another
mm-hmm,
person. It's just to say, hey, these things do happen in a relationship. There are some egregious things that,
right,
that's those are like, total line crosses. So that's trauma in my opinion. But sometimes
right,
we go through the person cheated on you. They talk to your friend behind your back.
mm-hmm,
They slid in somebody else's DM.
mm-hmm,
Um, they dodging your phone calls. So you're dealing with stuff like that. Is what I'm talking about. Those
mm-hmm.
kind of trivial, you know, petty things that kind of build up. So
Mm. And these emotional scars, we're talking about other relationships you may have had. We're not even talking about family situations of how you were raised, what you
no,
saw, how
wow,
things went. We didn't even get
wow.
into that part.
Wow, yeah, and it's crazy because I'm glad you mentioned that because when I do trainings for young adults, when I do my trainings for sexual violence, at least, I talk to young adults when I'm talking about sexual harassment and all of these, boundaries, consent, all of this stuff,
Mm-hmm,
and I talk about how sometimes they'll play these games. I've gone inside of schools and they play this game, called ball tap, where they'll tap young men in the genital area, something along those lines.
mm-hmm,
Or I went inside another organization, and their thing was the game was called Tap That Behind Friday. So every
mm-hmm,
Friday, you had to pick a person to tap their behind. And I'm like, you don't know if this person is a victim of childhood sexual assault, and
mm-hmm,
you're thinking it's not a big deal that they're snapping on you and they're going off, but you triggered that person, and you don't,
mm-hmm,
and like, and again, it's even, and you even still walking in a slippery slope, touching
right,
another person, and
mm-hmm,
engaging in a game like that.
mm-hmm,
Be on school grounds. I just try my best to just keep it, as logical and whole like bigger picture thinking as possible. Like school's not a place for these kind of games or activities or anything like that. Anyway,
mm-hmm,
then you're obviously taking it the next step by invading someone's, how I call it, the red zone. You shouldn't
right,
really touch anywhere between, shouldn't touch people period, but you shouldn't touch anywhere between, like, I want to say like here, really, mouth down to your shoulders, down to your knees, and just like right back over. So front, back of that person's body,
mm-hmm,
that's like a no go. So like no touching of the small of somebody's back,
mm-hmm,
no touching of somebody's shoulders like this,
mm-hmm.
touching of the hair, just things like that. So that's yeah, like I said, that's what I thought. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
But
Now
that's
when you now
yeah.
when you say no touching of the hair, you done made all of my sisters day because somebody walks up and like, well, let me don't touch the hair.
Somebody just honestly did that to my daughter the other day. She's 1.5, and somebody
Mm,
did it, and somebody I didn't know. But again, I run I run a community fit camp, so everything was, all love. I get it,
mm-hmm,
but yeah, I was just like, they were like, she has a lot of hair. She's 1.5. It's like big and
mm-hmm,
Afrocentric. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Takes her braids out, and we just let it, be out sometimes. And
mm-hmm.
like I said, I even looked at that lady with the side eye, like,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
cool, but
yeah,
don't
yeah.
make a habit out of that.
Yeah, it's funny. Growing up in school, ours was called something different, but of the same caliber, like catch a girl, get a girl, things of that sort. So
Mhm.
around recess time, everybody running around slapping you. After a while, it was like a little too much. You hitting too hard. I had to call my mama. But you never know what somebody has been through, and those small little things can cause some challenges if you don't know the situations that they've been in. So that's really important to know of. Or, I mean, you wouldn't know. It's just you have to ask permission. Might be the best way to say it.
Yeah, and just keeping it simple as a young adult, because again, it's not for the young adult, to be honest. Like, it's not for the young adult at that time to really know or understand all of this stuff. That's too much of the world for them to understand at that tender age. They should be focused on being a kid and understanding themselves, building their self-esteem. What their self-worth is.
Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff. But yeah, it's not. It shouldn't be on them. But again, if they keep it simple, again, simple stuff. Everybody, kindergarten, keeping your hands and feet to
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't got nothing nice to say.
Don't say that at
Don't say
all.
anything at all. Don't touch people's property without their permission. Just
Mm-hmm.
again, if you keep it simple like that, that's like the baseline stuff, and then from there, everything else kind of like manifests by itself.
Mhm. So good, so good. And even though these are things as a child, these are still things for adults as well, because some adults don't know how to do these things. And then, unfortunately, I hear stories where they don't receive it very well when you don't respond how they wanted you to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy was trying to holler. She said no. Now he wants to call her different names or really be aggressive and things of that sort, or totally disrespect and invade personal space. And that can get messy.
Yeah, that's not cool. I never agreed with that. The group, my friends and I, we were younger. I'm not to sit here and say that we didn't do that, but we
Mhm.
never went to that extent. We didn't curse anybody out.
Mhm.
Not as far as I remember. We never cursed anybody. Yeah, we might have, said something from across the street or anything like that. But let's just be honest. Any young man that's doing that, if you're doing
Mhm.
that, you're trying to impress your friends. I don't
Right.
care what nobody says, because you're definitely not going to get that person's attention by
Mhm.
doing it that way. And then let's just add on for good measure. If you get that person's attention from doing it that kind of way, you, I mean, again, let's just be, let's just be frank. I don't know what kind of person you're expecting to be
Mhm.
dealing with at that time. If
Right.
they allowed you to, because again, that's a boundary too. Everybody doesn't want to be
Yes.
called out in the middle of the street and
Mhm.
and having them just have their whole body be described or their hair color called out. That kind of makes them a target or feel like a target, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, if you're doing that, you definitely don't want that person's attention. Now, the fact that this person, said something back to them, yes, that's what gets the person, defensive. So if you want the easy answer, just go over there and get shot down in private so that you don't
Mhm.
have to get embarrassed in public. That's it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can go over there and say, hey, I say this in schools. I'm like, you can go to the person and say, hey, my name's Levon. It's just like, hey, get out of here. You're a dirty man. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. And I go
Mhm.
over there back to my friends. Now, instead of them knowing she said, hey, you're a dirty man, I can go back and lie now and say, hey, look, she said she had a boyfriend. I'm not going to tell y'all she said I'm a
Yes.
dirty man, but
Yes.
hey, y'all don't need to know all of that, and I can
Um,
save that embarrassment for myself. You know what I mean?
yes.
So again, grow, grow up a little bit. That's the only thing I'll say about that. That's not a good way to come at anybody. I'm not going to use the old cliche like, what if that was your mom or your dad? It's just like, no. At the end of the day, you're not really
Yes.
going to get that person's attention that kind of way. And if you do,
Mhm.
just understand, you're walking in murky territory when you're dealing with, because I don't know what type of person you expect to be
Yes.
dealing with
Yes.
when you get that attention that kind of way.
And again, this is all ages.
Yes,
Yep, all
yeah,
ages.
for sure. I did not put an age on it. This
Yes.
is any
Just
all.
letting everybody know, everybody. But another part about the emotional scars is that um, based on what experiences we have been through, it carries into our relationship. So sometimes we don't know how to respond in certain situations, or we close up in certain situations, or we don't communicate as well in certain situations, or we get tied up with this person during cuffing season. It's nothing of what it is that we wanted, but we thought they did enough of the things on the list, or they did 2 of the 5 and we said, hey, this is the prize. Hey, I can rhyme.
Yeah,
But those pieces of really dealing with those emotional scars, like, even for example, that you shared at the same birthday, really addressing it and dealing with it. Obviously, you have been able to get through and process through that to know, okay, that was A, but this is B, and B is much better than what that A was, and things of that sort. So let's talk about the importance of working through emotional scars, or at least knowing how to identify the scars that we have.
all right. I would just say anytime you when you feel triggered, I don't know if anybody understands what that word means, but when you go to a state of being when you that you weren't. So if you were here, if you were at even keel and you
Mm-hmm.
like something, an event happens, so you're here at an even keel, an event comes in, to this even keel, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes you up here or down here, so it spikes you in some kind of way.
Right.
um for some, you may let's just use cheating for example. Your last person cheated on you. That's all they
Mm-hmm.
did: cheat, cheat, cheat. When somebody doesn't answer the phone call, now you're accusing them of cheating all the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, that's something that you need to address. It's like, hey, everybody's not cheating on you, but
Mm-hmm.
again, um you can't say that they're not, but at the same time it's like, again, it's still one of those things where, like you said, you're dealing with this back and forth. In my
Mhm.
head, honestly, what I was trying to say, I just thought about something while I was speaking. That is like a form of settling. You don't want to settle for somebody. You don't want to forfeit what your needs or wants or anything like that is for another individual. So
Mhm.
those emotional scars, though, that triggering can happen again during periods where this person again gives you some kind of physical, mental, emotional, maybe they use some kind of language, they give you some kind of reminder of
Mhm.
a past relationship that really affected you. But you have to pay attention to those. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
that's not something that anybody can really tell you. Probably minus the person that you are, giving that energy to. They can
Mhm.
probably tell you like you're always accusing me of cheating, or you're always thinking that I'm out there doing something. So, but that is like one of the biggest things, like the challenges I would say, just cheating with other with between couples. People just being ladies' man's, or young women. Picking and choosing everybody. Because it's dating. That's
Mhm. Mhm.
but that's the backlash of it. Just having a lot of that stuff come back. The backlash of dating.
Right.
Having a lot of you know again baggage come with that, because different people, different numbers. It's a lot to deal with.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing I could say.
Very true, very true. And I think a big part of that emotional scar is kind of ties in with boundaries as well, of knowing what bothers you. Like if you had a rough day, it may be like, don't talk to me for a little bit, let me get myself together. So being able to communicate at the end of the day too, to let somebody else know what is going on with you, what does cause you to tick, what does cause you to thrive, and things of that sort, and giving them time to learn you and you learning them. I always love to share about like the 5 love languages, and what your love language is, that's not what you give to the other person. You have to give them their love language and they give you your love language. But again, you have to communicate that so they know what bothers you, what you like, what you don't like, um, to ease emotional scars and not become a trigger, but also to help you heal from those scars.
I want to add to that, because what I believe is, and this is why I believe it should be a level of maturity on from both sides in terms of communication. It needs to be a level of maturity.
Wait, I can't be petty?
It's not to sit there and say it's not to sit
Uh-huh.
there and say you can't be petty, but again,
Hmm.
are you going to continue to let that be the terms of your relationship? Are you going to
Right,
continue to be petty? Is this something that you're going to, like I said, just continue to do? But
right.
I yeah, again, because again, after a while, you miss what they say. You miss the old thing. You want to
Yeah.
be back cuddled up and all of that stuff. And
Hmm.
you don't want to be having you don't went down this petty road so far that
Hmm.
it's hard for you to kind of turn around. Like,
Yes.
then you got to reconcile, and it's like,
Yes.
like, now you don't want to move. You don't want to budge. Now you're being
Hmm.
stubborn. But that's why I said it takes a different level of not communication as far as maturity in it. I do believe that the person, like, again, the person who may say, you said something like, the person may say, hey, I'm having a rough day, I had a rough day, I don't want to really be talking or in communication like that. I
Hmm.
do believe it is up to the partner in some kind of way, shape, or form to try to alleviate or ease the burden of whatever it is for that person, whether it just be sitting with that person in quiet, making that person, or getting that person something to eat, something to drink, asking them, just asking them flat out, what do you want to do? Do you want to watch a movie? You want to take a walk, something? So, and also read body language. Please, please, please read body language. A lot of times we tend to really ignore that and
Hmm.
focus on what the person's saying rather than how they're acting or responding to it. So, a lot of times people say things just so, because they may feel as though they don't want anybody, they don't want to they want to be, they may not want to be the Debbie Downer of the group. They don't want to be the person that's like, oh, you're always just ruining the fun, or they don't want to be the person that may have sparked possibly some kind of violence or something in a
Hmm.
situation, or aggressiveness because they've said something. So yeah, people say a lot of things, but you need to be paying attention to what their body language tells you.
Mm. Which leads me into like the last couple of weeks, it was really big on red flags, right?
Mhm.
So they throwing up all these flags and things like that store. And I was like,
Everywhere, right?
oh, I thought that was the direction to the circus. No, sis, no, bruh, get out of that circus. Because sometimes red flags can jam us, and we do see them, but we don't pay them any mind because in our mind, whatever we have, or we don't see that body language saying, "Leave me alone," or we don't see that body language saying, "This, I need love, I need attention, I need this," and we miss it. So with red flags, what are the ways to identify them? What are some key pieces to help us identify them? And what are some steps to take if it is a red flag we need to move away from?
One easy way to determine red flags is to think about your own boundaries. Again,
Mm-hmm.
so that's right back to square one. What are
Yes.
your likes? What are your dislikes? And that will easily have you understand where you can kind of, where you can fit wherever, red flags are for you. For
Mm-hmm.
some people, cheating is a deal breaker. For
Mm-hmm.
some people, it's not. You get what I'm saying? So that's one way I would start is just looking at your own boundaries and which leads me to the second thing. If you want to understand what your boundaries are, then that means you understand to some extent how you want to be treated. So nobody wants to be abused. Nobody wants to be pushed around. Nobody wants
Mm-hmm.
to be neglected. Nobody wants to be acting. Nobody wants to have somebody act one way with them and around certain people and
Mm-hmm.
different, and doing one thing in
Right.
public and another thing in private. Nobody wants that. You want somebody to be consistent. So that's what I would say as far as red flags. Um, do yourself a favor, make it easy. Look for somebody that again is going to be consistent in all the areas that you like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. Do that. Have somebody be consistent in all the areas that you like, or most areas that you like, not all, because nobody's perfect, but
Right.
and
Right.
they may need some adjusting and some teaching about how to cater to you or treat you. But again, and at the same time, just to be frank, that needs to be on the flip side too. So again, that's
Mm-hmm.
a two-way street thing. So just figure out who's going to treat you the most consistently with your likes and the dislikes. They tend, because again, all this stuff is like, it's like a bank account for real.
Mm-hmm.
You got deposits, you got withdrawals. You want
Yes.
somebody to be putting more deposits in your bank account. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's my main thing. I want deposits.
Mm-hmm.
If every time I swipe my card it was a deposit, I'd be a rich man. You know what I mean? So
Right.
again, but the withdrawals are going to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing that I want to say with that. So are you going to have a person make more deposits than withdrawals or more withdrawals than deposits? Because if you're making, just quick math, if you're making $1,000 worth of deposits every week,
Mm-hmm.
but you're taking out 3,000 every 2 weeks, even though it's only happening every 2 weeks, every week is consistent. You're getting a
Mm-hmm.
thousand, 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 thousand. That feels good. But every
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, that 3,000 hits, and it puts
Mm-hmm.
you red, honestly, until you got to bounce back a little bit. But by the
Mm-hmm.
time, but you can, it's no recovering from that. You're more than
Yes.
likely that bank account gets shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, our bank, in a perfect world, our relationships will get shut down, but they don't. We tend to hold on to them. So
Mm.
yeah, that's what I would do. Red flags are just those things that again arise, and you know, the social media has made it a little. They haven't watered it down, but to some degree they have. They just been saying pretty much anything's a red flag. Like living inside the basement of your mother or your grandmother's house. That's a red flag, and it's like. That happens. I've lived in the basement of my grandma's house. I was actually, living in my grandma's house when I met my mate at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
just got out of college. I was just getting my feet wet. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I said before, a lot of times I was looking at some of them and it kind of discredits, where you're at
Mm-hmm.
in your development and in your progress of life. But some of them were true. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Some if this person doesn't want you to know where they live at, it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
that is kind of like a red flag. Why I can't know where you live at, or you can know where I live at, and know what my house looks like and all of that.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so make more deposits than withdrawals. More good times than bad times. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what you want.
So two good things you said. Well, a lot of good things, but two things I wanted to put out was that part of The last part of like discrediting. And sometimes what works for you may not work for somebody else. So again, it goes to your boundaries of what it is that you want in a relationship, what it
Mm.
is you don't want in a relationship. And you have to be honest with yourself, because if they are doing something that you're not okay with, don't pursue that. You're wasting your time and their time. However, you can also ask questions to find out what's going on. Your
Mm.
situation, hey, I just got out of school, I'm saving up money, and you stacking. That's a smart idea, you know, because people are going out robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then they're messed up. And then it's some memes. I'll do the memes first before I go to the other part. Or like, you know, scenarios where like the guy and saying, "Hey, I don't want to really go out to an expensive restaurant. Let's try this." And the girl is getting upset. It's like, "Well, why can't we go to Roof Chris? Why can't we go to Steak 48?" Sis,
And
you're not always paying for Roof Chris and Steak 48, and you're going out on this date to get a free meal because you ain't thinking about brother after this date. And some guys are maturing to the point of, no, let's really see where this is going before I get there. And the
yeah,
girls are being offended, or vice versa.
and it's crazy because I know it's hard to even think about it in that way, but that is like, we already know about, toxic masculinity, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at it as, again, it's just me, again, my opinion. I don't look at it as, at least when I was doing the work, I don't look at it as toxic masculinity. It's toxic traits, or it's a toxic culture within
Mm-hmm.
masculinity. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is, because it's toxicity in anything, to be quite frank. And that
Right.
something that I would say is something that I guess a lot of dating men have pointed out. The toxicity of women is, they can have, in the dating pool, you can have a few people that you're dealing with, and hey, I could depend on this person to treat me to lunch, and this person could treat me to dinner, and this person can take care of get my car washed or something. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and a lot of times, men, gender role wise, we're taught to, take care of people, provide, protect. And yeah, that's something that can be, I guess, used to our disadvantage in that kind of way, when dating is what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
That could be used like that. But I definitely agree with that. You hit that one on the nose.
Yeah, it gets interesting. And I always like having these conversations. I was having a conversation with some guys, and they were saying how, I be spending money on these dates. I said that's great, but like, are you still talking to that person? How's it still going? It was like no, or it's either no or and she didn't even give up. So were you doing that to expect to get something?
Yeah,
Because then you don't want to lower your expectations, bro. Because that doesn't
yeah,
mean that you're going to get a roller coaster at the end of the night.
right. I'm all the way there
The
with you.
park might be closed and you gotta go home. Are you okay with that after you just spent all that money and things of that
Yeah,
sort? So then he's like, well, how you feel like if a guy took you on Netflix and chill? Okay, so how long have you known this person? Because Netflix and chill is not that something's wrong with it, but if I don't really know you and I'm just coming to your house and we about to kick, how many conversations have we had prior
yeah.
to a Netflix and chill?
I tell my young men, because I've had this conversation. I said you can't hide behind the guise of Netflix and chill,
Mm-hmm.
Hulu and Do You,
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus and Thrust. None of it. None of it. You can't hide
Yes.
behind none of that stuff.
Yes.
And again, back to what you said on some real life stuff. You're absolutely right. When you go out with someone, the goal is to have fun,
Mm-hmm.
not to have sex or intimacy or anything like that at the end of the night. You're just really trying to have fun and get to know the person. Again, if you're taking this person out to a fancy restaurant, check your motive behind it. Are you taking them out
Yes.
so you can be flashy to show them a
Mm-hmm.
good time, or is that really a restaurant that's within your price range, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter you going to this restaurant with this person because you can do that with another person that you date? So again, yeah, you're absolutely right. And then on top of that, when you do stuff like that, to be honest, to have an expectation or assumption about what you want, that's like borderline predatory a little bit. You know what I mean? Just borderline. I'm not gonna say you're a
Mm-hmm.
predator, but it's like you're already kind of speaking for a
Mm-hmm.
person already. Like
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna we're gonna have fun. And you kind of just got this. You're not saying it to yourself, but you kind of got this. It's this cloud hanging. Like hey, I believe we're going to get to something. I'm going to try to have a good time and,
Mm-hmm.
make sure the person has fun, feels, safe and secure and all of that stuff, and then make my move. And it's like,
Right.
how about not make a move and just saying, hey, I had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to us doing this again. And if you do it
Yes.
again, you do it again. If you don't, then you got to expand your dating pool. That's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And being careful with that flashy too, because you can go to like these expensive spots, but how long is that gonna last? Now,
mm,
if your budget is set for it, by all means, go on, brother. Go on. Go on, sis, go on. However, um, How long does that really go? Are you good with dropping $2,000 a month on dating?
Listen,
And if you are dropping that much, how much are you still getting to know the person?
yeah,
Because sometimes people are at their phone at the dinner, they like this.
yes, yes. When I
How much
took
you say?
right, I
And you're
really,
not
I
even
really
present.
my first few dates with my wife, we literally went to. I remember the first few. We went to Fox and Hound.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Chili's.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Fridays because I hadn't been to Fridays at the time. I tried all these other restaurants, but I never been to Fridays. I always wanted to try the Jack Daniels. Once I tried it, I literally went crazy. I'm like, I need Jack Daniels everything. We go in there every weekend, so
Yes.
we go to Fridays. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's not to say we haven't been to Steak 48 or
Mm-hmm.
Del Fresco's or you know what's the other one up in Eddie V's up in King of
Yeah.
Prussia.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone to those places, but again, it's like those were occasions too. I'm sorry to say, it was like
Oh, pause right there. Those are the occasions, and we mess up
yeah,
because we make it like a norm. It's something
yeah, it's
we
like
got to work towards. If
listen,
you just going off the back like, oh, this is the one, and he's like, no, you can't do it again. Wait a minute.
no, we can't listen, and it's okay to tell a person that too. No, we can't
What?
do it again.
What?
If
And
and
I only said it because again, I've been seeing some posts recently. And they've been talking about this, and the girls are getting upset because, like, well, why can't he do that? He supposed to provide. He supposed to do. Says y'all ain't even in a relationship
we're
yet.
not there yet, we're
Your
not there yet.
expectations. Sometimes you got to come down. And in cuffing season or any season in
Yeah,
relationships, we got to be realistic.
yeah, and that was one of the things, honestly, that speaking of cuffing season, I remember breaking up from my relationship before my wife, and to be honest, I wasn't the best person in that relationship. I did cheat, I did
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was a back and forth kind of person. I justified it to myself and said, hey, because I went to school with my partner, I was like, hey, because I'm up here with them at school and not making them look like a fool at school,
Mm-hmm.
that when I come home, like, this was my, like, kind of like, hey, like, I could cut loose and do me and chill and fall back or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But um before I get there, can you remind me of the question again? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, we talking about the flashy and how that long that can last, and
Oh,
um, just all the thing of the expectations and lowering them.
yeah, so again, even with that, oh yeah, so back to it. Thank you for jogging my memory. Even with
Yeah.
that, when I got away from her, not got away from her like that, but when I got away from her for that time and it got to my time to think about stuff, I
Mm-hmm.
really told myself, I came to a conclusion, and it just so happened to be around cuffing season. I said, you know what? I'm not lying to people no more. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just going to take it how it comes. Listen, I'm not saying here saying I'm a dog or nothing, but I'm not ready for no relationship. I was just like, listen, don't look at me for no relationship. I like to kick it. I like to cool out. And I'm just a nice person. I was just laying it all out. If I see something that looks out of shape or out of line in your house, yeah, I'll push it back. Like, I'm not useless in that kind of way. Like, I got manners and respect, but don't
Mm-hmm.
take that as a sign of me wanting to be with you. Like, I was just like putting up wall after wall, not in a bad way, just boundary after boundary. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cuffing season came around, and I felt like, hey, I was, good in the sense that I was giving you all the options in the world. It was up to you. Like, I was literally telling you, like, I don't have a woman, I don't have nobody I'm messing with, I am dating right now. I was literally saying every single thing. So it's like, you can't call me a liar. You can literally make a decision, an informed decision about if you really want to mess with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and honestly, it kind of worked out a little bit better in my favor, to be quite frank. I'm not sit there and say I still didn't do my fair share of situations, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody was, nobody could say I lied to them. And that
Right.
felt so much better, in my opinion. It just felt
Mm-hmm.
better because, again, I felt like I was, I guess, establishing myself. Like, I was, you know, redefining, what my worth, or how I was putting myself out there in relationships. I wasn't just, doing it to, just move on to the next person. It was just like, hey, like, even if I am moving on to the next person, you just still need to know what's going on between us, so that
Mm-hmm.
you can, move accordingly as well. So
See, this is why Jasmine Sullivan wrote the song "I Bust the Windows Out Your Car" because he wasn't honest. If
mm,
you're honest, the person can make their own choice. Crystal said, "That's right. Let me make the choice." And if you can be honest, all the cards are on the table. What the problem is, though, is that in you being honest, sometimes the complex comes of, "Oh, I could change him. I could change her." they're gonna come together for me because I got
Mhm.
pop, 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 whatever it
Sure,
is.
sure.
And then when it doesn't work out that way, they like, but wait a minute. It was like, but I said, and it's so important to really listen to words and actions, of course, both. But
Mm,
sometimes when somebody's saying, I'm not really trying to be in a relationship right now, this is blah, 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 whatever it is, if we really pay attention to the words that they're saying and meet them there, if something comes beyond, awesome. If something goes below, awesome. If it stays, awesome. But again, being honest. And again, we can't, if all I have is some noodles, I can't make spaghetti. I need more than just noodles.
mhm.
So if all you're giving is noodles, either I have to bring it to the table and be okay with bringing it to the table, but also being okay if you saying no, I just want the noodles by themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Again, just because like I always got to think about my wife in that way. She
Mhm.
met, and that's how literally she got my attention. She met me right where I was at. Just making sure everybody knows this. When I actually when I met her, did like never seen her a day in my life.
Mhm.
Both of us from Philly and everything. Never seen her a day in my life.
Mhm.
After I met her for the first time, the very when I say the very next time I saw her, I was out on a date
Mhm.
and she saw me and we were both like locked eyes and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, but she didn't trip. She just sat there. She looked at me like, even when I looked back at her, she kind of gave me this look like, hey, you going to speak? Are you going to say something? And I'm just like caught in the middle, like, oh my gosh, like. But I texted her the next day. I'm like, hey, that was me you saw the other day because I was again on my honest stuff, just stepping up to the plate. Hey, that was me you saw the
Mhm.
last night. But in my defense, I'm single. So I do want to continue to talk to you, but I'm
Mhm.
just just playing. That's where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
Literally, if I could ever hear tone through a text message, I heard it that day. She was like, "That's okay. I understand that. I actually expected that. You're a young black man. You're handsome. You're a professional. You got a decent job. So I wouldn't think that I was the only person. You were the only person I was talking to, or vice versa. So
Mhm.
I wasn't. She's like, I wasn't expecting that. So that was and that felt good. Like what,
Mhm.
like that's true. Like somebody met me where I was at, and
Mhm.
that opened me up and made me pursue her a bit more. Like,
Mhm.
oh, you get it. You know what I mean? We're dating, right? But let's just be quite frank. If somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
just that simple. Sometimes people can say a lot, but at the same time, you know what I mean, trying to meet somebody where they are and then just getting an opportunity to get to know who that person is.
Mhm.
If they show you who they are, just believe them.
Just believe them. Crystal says, show the true you. Otherwise, it's the representative. And that
Yeah.
representative gets you in trouble.
Yeah, that's we was talking about that earlier,
Yes.
Chris. We was talking about start out how you gonna finish out because people will send that representative in real
Hmm.
quick, for the
Hmm.
first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2, 3 months possibly, until they get, again, maybe some level of intimacy or
Hmm.
whatever it is, a nice home that has stayed at for a while, two hots in the cot, how my grandma would say.
Hmm.
And once they've gotten past that season or that that pit or that moment that they were in, they're back off to being out here to do that again. And yeah, like I said before, as we were saying, it's just unfortunate that we gotta endure that in relationships.
Yeah.
We're the person that made ourselves vulnerable, and that person doesn't understand what it
Hmm.
might have took to make you to get you to that level to be like that with that person. And then the next person is even harder for them to even get through to you because you've developed a more hardened shell and you don't want to make yourself as vulnerable anymore. So
Hmm.
definitely.
So he just dropped the gym. He shared how he was honest. She was receptive to it. Said, "Hey, I didn't expect anything more, nothing less. Be you." You
if,
know.
if people just understand it about dating,
Hmm.
it'd be much easier out
Hmm.
here. Just that's just in my opinion. Like I said, I can't say it if it would or wouldn't, but just don't have any expectations. That you don't know this person or you're getting to know this person on that level. You might have known them for years, but you don't know that person on that level yet. You still got to figure that part out. So
Yes.
yeah, just try to lower or not have any expectations. Just do your best to have fun. Be in an environment that brings out your personality or brings out another element of who you are. Like I always tell people, if you want to have a good first dating experience, go to like an arcade or something. Go
Hmm.
bowling.
Hmm.
Um, go what is the one place my son likes to go to, like go to urban air or something like that.
Hmm.
Do something fun and
Right.
exciting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't Yeah, don't Netflix and chill. That's not a first
That's
date.
not a first date.
That's not a first date.
It's not. It's not a first date. But definitely those pieces where you can really communicate, get to know each other. Because a lot of times, also, people so quick to jump in the bed and they don't know the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had conversations with some young ladies, and it's like, but it worked out so great in the bedroom. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that in the boardroom. You got to be able to communicate, have meetings, talk about different things, and see where your life is going. In the boardroom, you finding out, what's going to be the blueprint for what's going to happen from today forward. The
Yeah.
bedroom is nice, but it doesn't cover the whole day. Sometimes people get caught in there and feel like, but no, if that worked out, it's supposed to work out over here. No, because communication is still off. You're not listening, you're not hearing, you're just having fun.
Young adults. I tell young adults just like this. Look, adults don't even really hardly know how to act when it comes to having sex. So it's no way that you think that nobody's really thinking straight. If to be quite frank, when it comes down to sex, only thing that come out of sex is feelings, STDs, and pregnancy. That's it. That's the only thing that comes out of sex: feelings, STDs, and pregnancy. So again, and again, adults can't even hardly handle all three of those by themselves. I'm just saying, to be quite honest,
You're right.
So, just know what you're getting into. It's not just sex, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're
Right.
also sharing soul ties with this person.
Right.
I mean, this person, pH is a thing, you know what I mean? This person's getting around with different people, you know what I mean? Like that could throw off just your body's, natural, just, pheromones. So
Right. Right.
it's a lot of stuff to think about when you give yourself to that person that kind of way, and you're really compounding the whole entire relationship based off of that exchange or that interval of time that you're together. That's not enough.
I like that. Relationships gives you feelings, STDs, and pregnancies.
Yeah, that's
I
sex.
didn't I
Sex.
didn't hear I didn't hear
Sex.
nothing about money to pay the bills.
Nope.
Because none of those things are gonna help me pay the electric bill. Pico wants their money.
Not at
PGW
all.
wants their money. The landlord, the mortgage company want their money. So it goes beyond that. So if you're in a relationship, it's beyond feelings, pregnancies, STDs. And be
Yeah,
careful.
be careful that because again, that's all really that's I mean, if somebody else could give me something else that sex leads to besides those three things, like I'm all ears. I'm
Yeah.
never a person to say that, hey, I can't be wrong about something, but I wouldn't even say this is a wrong thing. You're just adding on to the
Right.
list.
Absolutely. You add it on because those are three, but
Yeah,
other things can happen from it too. And sometimes you get caught up in those feelings. But again, it's more than just that in a relationship and things of that sort. Another part you shared about was the deal breakers. And we're talking about like if you're making so many withdrawals, the bank will shut down. But unfortunately, we don't shut down and we allow the person to keep on coming. And that's so important to talk about because like if we have a boundary saying, I don't go for cheaters, and then they cheat, it's like, all right, come on back. The challenge that one can get themselves into of allowing them to come back because they don't feel like,
yeah,
oh, I can keep on doing this,
yeah,
I'm playing games. No, like Mama said growing up, either you're in the house or you're out the house. What you gonna do? You
yeah.
can't keep running it out of my house.
That's real life. Seriously, that's real life. And again, if I could put it metaphorically, just think about it as your glacier, you know what I mean? And this person's just like slowly but surely just like chipping away at it. You know what I mean? Eventually it's just gonna be a rubble of ice cubes, and then it's easier to, for me to move and manage and do stuff with. But once that glacier, I can't move it. I can't do nothing with it. But again, little by little, I just, chip away at it. So that's how I look at that. When somebody leaves, you allow them to come back, especially if it was a quote unquote a deal breaker of yours. You know what I mean? That was supposed to be something where there's no coming back from, but they've come back from it, and they're
Right.
still able to have access to you in all the ways that they already had access to you. Nothing has seemed to change. They probably even start to get to a point where they're timing your attitude, or they're timing, how long, like, oh, this person is only going to be, mad at me for like 4 days. They do something with their time. They fill their time within that time instead of really
Yes.
figuring out how to really work to not do this again, or maybe possibly checking in on that person, seeing if they're okay. Because again, as the person who was the deal breaker, you should be trying to check in with this person. You should feel like, I can only imagine if I broke one of my wife's deals. Like, listen, I'm sweating, heart palpitating, like I'm going through it. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's my person. But you know what I mean? it's tough. Like I said, I always think about it when it's tough when you're younger, going through the phases too. And I don't mean like teenagers. I'm talking about even like 20s. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
young, just young adult. You know what I mean? So that's my outlook on that one at least.
mm-hmm. And I love the heart palpitations. Like you should, because and you should, because it shows the respect that you have for that relationship. It shows the commitment that you have to that union. So it's like, no, I don't want to mess up. If I do mess up, let me get this straight. Like I did X, Y, and Z. I spent this. I did that. And
Yeah.
if we did that more, if we communicated more from the jump, because what happens is, was none of that comes to the light. So you didn't say nothing about it, but eventually it'll randomly come back around. I don't know if I was reading somewhere or watching something, and I was watching a couple on YouTube. I like watching the different couples and things of that sort. And he was saying how when he met his wife, he was still in a relationship, and he was driving, and the girl he was in a relationship was in a passenger seat. Lo and behold, that girl who he felt was to be his wife called the girl in the passenger seat, and she's like, "Oh, I met this guy. He's so amazing." Da, da, da. She's going on about him, and then the girl's like, "That's my boyfriend, right?" Whoa. Communication is so important. You never
Mm,
know. And again, had he said something as soon as he knew that he was going to be pursuing somebody else's girlfriend, it would have helped that to go a lot better than how
yeah.
it ended up going.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, he still did marry the young lady that was on the phone and not the girl that was in the car. I said, that's interesting, not my business.
Right.
But the importance of communication, the importance of showing up, the importance of holding value to that which you feel to be valuable. And when you get there,
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm just thinking because I think it's pride that holds us back from that.
oh,
And I ain't got no ego when it comes down to people I love. Forget that.
mm-hmm,
You call
mm-hmm,
me what you want. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Oh, you a sucker for love. Your dad going, your dad going straight because ain't none of y'all gonna be taking care of me when I get sick. I can tell you that right now. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So no, yeah, nobody's gonna have my back like my person. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean?
mm-hmm.
So and it's a different, like I said, it's a beautiful feeling when you get to that. So again, I really think pride blocks us from really fully, and again, not just pride, but a big part of it is pride.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you just might be reserved because,
Mm-hmm.
hey, does this person even deserve this part of me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's how I kind of carried myself a lot for a long time too. I just looked at it like, hey, you don't have to unlock all of yourself for a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that they earn. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But arguments, if you are having like arguments and disagreements with somebody, I think we said something about that. But
Mm-hmm.
any kind of like disagreement, argument you're having, don't argue don't argue
Mm-hmm.
to win the argument. It's not about winning
Yes.
the argument. It's just
Yes.
about coming to the conclusion of what happened, what did I do, that could be prevented or avoided,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I avoid doing that thing again so that we
Yes.
don't get into the same
So we
argument.
won't come back. Yes. It's so important. It's so important. And another part that we've kind of like been talking about, kind of like it's like a thin line of the strain or the thread, is friendship.
Yeah.
Really knowing the person, because it's gonna be times where you're in lovey-dovey-dovey, and then it's sometimes like, but that's my friend. I love him. That's my friend. So it like goes hand in hand of, I don't want to mess up my friend. I don't want to mess up the relationship that I've built with my friend. And sometimes people don't have that. Um, what's it called? The structure,
Hmm.
which helps to keep that love flowing, because love is fluid. One
Hmm.
day you do love them, the other day you want to knock them out, because they done did something or said something or whatever it is, or you just having a bad day. But at the end of the day, being a friend, no, but that's my friend. I'm gonna look out for them and things of that sort. And I think even in cuffing season or any other season, the hope is that you could be a friend with the person, because again, really getting to know the person is helping you. That addition that comes in your life, they help you subtract too, because sometimes you find out that some people who were around you meant you no good or didn't want you to be happy when you did find happiness and things of that sort. But really having that person be your friend is so important. Why is that important? Can you share about that or the benefits of
Yeah,
friends?
yeah, you want to like the person that you're with. Now, again, that's different from loving them. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I always take it back to, especially as I got older. You know what I mean? You just start to hear some of the stuff that your parents were saying. It's just like, you kind of, at least me, I'm like, man, you ain't know it all. Like, but they were right. They were right on point. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember my grandma, she used to say something to my dad. My dad, at the time, he was an alcoholic, And he would get really, really drunk and just do a lot of belligerent, crazy, obnoxious stuff. And
Mhm.
she would just say all the time to him, I love you, Louis, but I hate your ways. And I never understood that. I'm like, how you love somebody but hate? I just didn't get it. But
Mhm.
it's like, that's her son. She loves him, you know what I mean, dearly, but I can't stand what you do, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And but it's so back to the point. You could love somebody, you know what I mean? And again, you're not gonna let nothing happen to them. You got
Mhm.
your back, you know what I mean? But liking them is a little bit different.
Mhm.
That's like, you know, understand that again, back to, because you treat your friends, it's unfortunate, it's messed up, but you treat your friends different than you treat other people. I mean, so I
Mhm.
know somebody can understand what I'm talking
You're
about.
right. You're
Like
right.
you put more stock or investment in your friends. Like,
Mhm.
you want to cover them and have their back
Yes.
and do more for them in that kind of way. But and again, I don't know why we separate that idea of boyfriend girlfriend. Like, that's literally what it is. It's the
Mhm.
friend. It's accentuates the boy or the girl part in front.
Mhm. Mhm.
So but yeah, as far as liking somebody, that's key in any relationship. You don't, because love, like you said, love can only take you but so far in a
Mhm.
relationship. You gotta like the person, and liking a person, makes you interested in the person. In my opinion, you start to pay attention to things about that person. Love is just, I take care of the house, I pay the bills. You got food on your back. But like, love is like that essential thing. Like it's like, you're doing the tedious task now. You know what I mean? So you're not just paying the bills, but you're also cooking the dinner, and
Mhm.
you're still doing a little bit of the other things that person may like, that they may like their mate to do. But
Mhm.
liking is key. That's
Mhm.
the biggest thing you need to know. Like, you need to like your person.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to like the person, want to be a friend, and the love, grows from there. And it's so important. But again, it goes down to knowing what it is that you like, what it is that you love, knowing what it is that you want, knowing what it is that you don't want, and being careful of that revolving door. Because sometimes we allow situations to keep coming back around that don't need to keep coming back around. And we can just put a stop on it. Like, you know what? After a while, it's also detrimental to yourself of like, I can't keep
Mhm.
going around this circle.
Yeah,
Merry-go-round is nice, but after a while, you want to get off of that because you're tired of going around them circles. So
get
you have
this.
to know you get dizzy, you get sick. Some people can handle it, some people can't. You know, somebody can ride a roller coaster all day, the same one all day. After a while, it's like, all right, I need something different. So again, being able to communicate, being able to be honest. We talked about that honesty and transparency. I appreciate your transparency on tonight's sharing. And these are important pieces that sometimes we lack. And then cuffing season comes around and we do settle, or we just get tied up in these, as Crystal said, entanglements. Entanglement was the thing of 2020.
Right.
Of, oh no, this is just this or this is just that. But if we were honest and we really stepped up to say, no, I can't do this, or yes, I can do this. Because even on a job, you go on that interview, you're
Yeah.
gonna give a representation of yourself. But after a while, it's like, what? You can't write an email, you can't write a
Mhm.
letter.
Yeah, it comes up. Like you said, what comes, and that's a simple analogy of what goes on in the dark comes to the light.
Yes.
Just something simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we were discussing previously. We were talking about you just said something about transparency. I want to kind of touch on that a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because something that I used to do, and again, not proud of it, but just again in the spirit of maturing within relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I don't do that anymore, but I can understand why somebody would be so frustrated doing it, but because it's a lot tied to that. So my
Mm-hmm.
action was this. I would this is my communication style when I was with my ex. I would
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, I'm, going out," you know, and thinking that I was doing something. I guess I would say I was going out, and I would either leave it at that, no end time, no start time, no where I would be at, none of those things. Like, I'm going out, or I would
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, I'm going out. I'll give too much information, and sometimes too much information
The
isn't.
devil's in the details.
Yeah. If I say too much information, it's too much. Hey, I'm going around so and so house at 8 o'clock. I'll be there for 2 hours. If you don't hear from me, this is it's just like that's too much information now.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, basically, what I started to do as far as just with transparency is just literally being again being truthful. That's what transparency is. You can communicate something and say something to somebody, but things also change? Are you transparent enough to update that person,
Mm-hmm.
without feeling as though, they're clocking you or watching your back, watching you or anything like that? It's just because, again, things happen out here, in the blink of an eye.
Absolutely.
Again, I was talking to you while I was traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and anything could happen out there to me. I could have gotten into a car accident. And what if I had not communicated with you and been
Mm-hmm.
transparent with you about what was
Mm-hmm.
going on? I could have communicated and say, hey, I'm on my way, be there in a jiffy.
Mm-hmm.
That could have just let you know what was going on right there. But I was transparent enough to say, hey, I'm in traffic. I'm moving right now. I
Mm-hmm.
will be there, maybe a little late, but thank goodness I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, I just give you that next level
Right.
of
Right.
communication to help you understand the bigger picture of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so important. And it's a respect level too. It's like, look, I don't want you to think I'm flaking. Like, you
Mhm.
never know either, like sometimes different connections that you have, like what could come from it. So it's like,
Right.
hey, I'm gonna be there, X, Y, and Z and things. And it's amazing how our experiences help and mold us to where we go of like how much information I should be sharing. And it's a benefit in sharing, even if I'm gonna be around such and such around this time for this amount of time. Because with things happening, it was like let's say something happened on Sit Down Avenue, something recently just happened. It was like, hey, you said you were over there. Are you okay? And your person, if they know that you were over there and then you
Yeah.
weren't really there.
Yeah. Yeah. That part right there, like exactly like that. And that was what I had to notice for myself,
Mm-hmm.
going forward as I got older in my relationships and more mature. It was like literally like what you just said. It was like, hey, things happen quickly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like you don't want to. How about this on the flip side? You don't want to have said you were somewhere and something else happened in the other place, and that person got to find out that way.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're at this place. Let's say, oh, I'm at my friend's house. I'm at Jen's house.
Mm-hmm.
That's my fault. But really,
Uh-huh.
across the town at Sharice's house,
Mm-hmm.
and now let's just say our apartment catches on fire,
Mm-hmm.
and I get caught up in all of that.
Yep.
So now it's like I gotta tell the truth now the person doesn't even know whether to be angry and irritated at you or just be sad because something crazy just happened to you, and it happens to people.
It
I know
does.
I've known of stories from past experiences with people with my friends where they try to use me as the scapegoat, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like buddy, like like don't do that because again you wrapping me up in some stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, something happened over there. And then not to say I didn't have my friends back, but again, it's just like at a certain point in time, they can overutilize that bone too. And that's,
Right.
you don't want
Right.
you, and again, back to boundaries, you just don't like, hey, look, we ain't gonna keep going down this same exact, like you said, keep riding this same exact roller coaster. Look,
Yeah. Yeah.
figure out another escape plan or something, man.
Yes.
But
Another escape plan, because that's the line. I know some guys that use other guys to get out of trouble.
for
And
sure.
after a while,
It's like it's the dog ate my homework. You know what I mean? It's
mm-hmm.
just like, oh, you always do like, so the person probably thinking about it in their head now, like, and mind you, this could be another red flag, and this could be how you're coming out of cuffing season too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just make sure we put it there, like where
Uh-huh.
that stuff's always popping up. This person's always popping up missing. And it probably even get to the point where you're probably able to know who they're going to call or who they're going to like. I was with so and so. You already know the person's name. You already know who
Mm-hmm.
what they're going to probably
Mm-hmm.
say because it's been routine at this point. The other person,
Right.
they they probably don't even recognize that it's routine because again, back on the other side, the person that's hearing this is. I hate to use these words in this kind of way, but you're allowing it. You're hearing it
Mm-hmm.
and you're accepting it. I guess you could say
Right.
accepting
Mm-hmm.
this information. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like in their mind, the person that's saying this stuff to you, they're like, "Oh, everything's cool." And I'm only saying that from experience because I've been there before. Where I
Mm-hmm.
was, again, using other people for to cover for me and something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the person, even though you can kind of feel and look at their body language and tell they ain't really accept it, at this point, they go with it. You know what I mean? Because they still, I believe, because they're still thinking about all of the good times and all of the other, again, all of the deposits that were made.
Right.
The
Right.
withdrawals are weighing on them heavy. So that's what I believe a person's really not. They don't know they're considering in that kind of way, but I believe that's what's going on in the person's head. It's just like I don't. And it's hard starting over too. A lot of people will build their stuff up off of history. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
and that's what catches people up in cuffing season two. And you try to
Come on.
you try to stay latched on
Mm-hmm.
because you built this history now. You started in September, October, like I said before. You done got through the cold winter months all close and snug and hugging and all of this other good stuff. You
Mm-hmm.
probably got the Valentine's Day, and if they were a good cuffing season, they would have done something for Valentine's Day. You know what I mean? Whether
Mm-hmm.
they dropped your card, candy, treats, something.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said before, as you're coming out of the cuffing season, you'll start to see more and more red flags emerge, and more times that this person is again just not in, I guess you say, in tandem with you like they used to be.
Mm-hmm. And I want to also just plug not just cuffing season. Sometimes we miss red flags of when situations are coming to an end as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
We be like, no, no, it's not over. No, it may be. So really, just being mindful. And again, we talked about how like being comfortable in things that sort. And comfortable is nice, but
mm,
sometimes even in being in a comfortable shoe, sometimes you still want to show off and put a pump on. Sometimes you still got to show off and put a boot on. Sometimes you still want to show off and do something different from what that norm is. So I really wanted to just challenge our friends tonight to one, be aware of cuffing season, be aware of what your boundaries are, what it is that you like, what you don't like, be transparent, be honest, communicate. If John said he was around the corner at JoJo house, call JoJo, see if he really there. If he ain't there, Levon got him lying and things that sort. but like just really being honest and knowing what it is that you want, because it's so important. So many people, I talk to friends, want relationships and things that sort, seeking relationships, and either you're ready for it or you're not ready for it, or you haven't really dealt with the things within your own self. And I knew some friends who like get in a relationship, get out, get another relationship, get out, get another relationship. What did you
yeah,
learn? You
yeah,
just go from A, B, C, D, and
yeah.
the same trouble is following you through all of those situations. So really taking some time to know who you are, knowing what you want, knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like. And again, what you like yesterday might not be what you like today, but acknowledging that, being honest with yourself and communicating that with whoever it is you're trying to talk
I
to.
want to make a challenge to everybody here that is catching this live tonight. Literally make a list of 10 of your likes and dislikes, and you say you would think that list to be easy to make. I promise you that list will be so difficult to make. It's going to be difficult to come up with 10 things that you like in a relationship and
Mm-hmm.
10 things that you dislike. 10
Mm-hmm.
things that if a person done these things to you, not and again, it has to be different element. Like you can't, like, not to say it can't all be physical, but that'd be easy to just think about. This person did everything physical to, of course, but no, like, try to have a broad range, and think about,
Mm-hmm.
again, likes and dislikes. If anybody can just do that for tonight, again, that's like your roadmap. That's like a start. That's a
Right.
that's tangible, information for you to go off of about yourself. A list created by you for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little football going on by you for you. So friends, write a list. 10 things you like, 10 things you don't like. And really hold yourself to that list, because sometimes we're like, well, he got 9 of the things I like, but 7 of the things I don't like. Are you really ready for that? Is
Hmm.
that okay for you? Is that balance all right for you? Because you'll say yes. He's honest with you, she's honest with you, and you'll say yes, you in a situation, and then number 8 comes up on that list that you don't like. And then it goes down to 7, from 7 to 6 on the things that you do like. It's also some sacrifices that you make.
Yeah.
But as Antoinette said, don't settle just to settle. You know, know that this is something that's really worth it. There's some times that somebody's taking a job and it was a pay cut, but it was other perks and things of that sort. Again, weigh your pros and cons, but be careful to not get yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, because sometimes you get stuck in it. They don't want to let you go.
Hmm. For
I mean,
sure. And people
Tori
have
said,
done that.
yes. Tori said, yes, people do not give themselves time to heal, or do what they need to work on personally. Absolutely. And that gets you in some trouble in some seasons of relationships. Because had you not, got to the place of being honest, who knows what would have happened when like your wife did come along,
Right. Seriously true. And
You
you're
could have
absolutely
missed
correct.
out.
And you're absolutely correct. You really actually glad you said that, because I took a year and a half hiatus from just, getting calling somebody my person or being in a dating relationship with a person.
Mm-hmm.
Took a whole year and a half hiatus. I'm from the moment I broke up with my ex at the time, which was like 2000 whatever, like I said before,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to when I met my wife, which was so that was 2012 when I broke up with them, in about, like I said, September, and I
Mm-hmm.
met my wife again 2013 November.
Mm-hmm.
October, in the end of October, early November of next year. So
Mm-hmm.
again, about a year pretty much of
Mm-hmm.
just, again, like I said before, straight telling people, hey, not really interested in a relationship, young, testing the waters. Again, just so you don't have to be relegated to me, and you don't have to have any promises to me. I'm not looking for you to, make dinner for me, or you don't have to do none of those extra things. But if we take it there, we take it there. So
Mm-hmm.
it had a whole year of like really practicing. I could, like this elevator pitch. That's really what it was. Just
Yes. Yes.
practicing this elevator pitch until somebody again just literally, like I said before, T-bone me, which was my wife. Just like, just like, yeah, I know you got an elevator pitch, but that's cool because that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It may be an elevator pitch, maybe something you say to everybody. She didn't say this, but it's like me, it may have been something I said to everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
still, it was just like that's and in the young person's words, that's facts. Like that's what it was.
Yes. Yes. Let me see. Cammy said, and how about sometimes you need to learn yourself all over again? If you dated someone for years and or just learn yourself from growing, maturing. Absolutely. And I appreciate the year that you took, to really get yourself together. And I also wanted to share with our ladies that you can also say this too. I'm not really trying to date right now. I'm really trying to work on me. And they have to respect that too. And that tells you a lot too when they can respect what it is that you're saying.
Hmm.
Because if they go against what you're saying, they're violating you in a sense. Because
Yeah.
like, I didn't want to do that.
Hmm.
So really being honest and standing up for yourself for what it is, or the boundaries, things that you want. As he said, take a year, take some months, take some time
Yeah.
before really settling down, because you get married, some people feel like it's for life, some people don't feel like it's for life, wherever you find yourself at.
And again, that's why you hit it on the nose. Like, even though it seems like one of those things where hey, that seemed like some people do, some people don't. Like, no, that could be avoided. You could talk about this stuff.
Yes.
You could have expectations. Again, my
Mm-hmm.
wife, she pretty much put it out there. She was like, look, I ain't fit to be being around nobody or being in a relationship with nobody 5 or more years, and ain't nobody try to pop a question to me. That was her boundary. Like, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like she put no pressure on me. I mean, I guess subtle pressure, but at the end of the day, she's simply saying, I'm not trying to waste any time. Like, I'm getting
Yes.
older, I'm not getting younger.
Yes.
Um, if this is not something you want, great. Move out the way for the next person that want what I want. Like, you know
Move
what I
out the
mean?
way.
Because you blocking I'm blocking her blessings at that time. If
Yes.
I want to lose my person, no. Could I see myself with this person the rest of my life? Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
what was really holding me up? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and again, that was some internal stuff that I had to think about right there as well. Just thinking about, hey, like, is it because I'm nervous or anxiety?
Yes.
Me in my head, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, you hear about all of these stories about, dudes of, pulling out, one dude I seen somewhere, he pulled out 4 rings for a chick. I'm like, excuse my language, I'm like, damn, like, 4 rings, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad he was black too. Like, power to the people, but it was like,
Yes.
man, like, 4 rings, bruh.
Yes.
Like you set a new standard. One dude literally proposed to his wife and married her the same day, had the wedding and everything set up.
Yes.
I mean,
Please.
and I'm like, oh my gosh. And again, black couple. I love it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But again, that was all the anxiety, like I said before, I had in my head. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
was in my own head. I was in my own way. You know what I mean? I proposed to my wife with, the ring that I got. You know what I mean? You got to look at like this is a proposal. Some people don't even get, they don't even get the bubblegum ring out of the thing. The fact of the matter is, somebody asked you this question. They wanted this, with
Yes.
you. And
Yes.
it was decent. Everything happened. Everything went well. We
Mm-hmm.
got married. We had a honeymoon. We did all the cliche, normal stuff that people do with a wedding. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said before, it wasn't even that. It wasn't that nerve wracking. So,
Yes.
like I
Yes.
said, I was in my own way.
Yes. And friends, again, you gotta do what works for you. If it's 4 rings, if it's five, if it's one, if it's that string that you pulled together, I got a little thing here. You just wrapped it around like say, hey, I want to marry you, and you trying to seal a deal and things of that sort. The relationship that you have with that person, you know what works and what doesn't work.
And it'll grow and develop, and everybody doesn't want a diamond. I know somebody
Yeah.
that I know somebody that I believe they got their I forget what exactly. I want to be quoted on that, but I know it wasn't a diamond. They didn't
Yeah.
put a diamond, and their wife was perfectly fine with it because she
Mhm.
didn't want a diamond. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So
And that's it, communication. Finding out what it is that they want, along with what it is that you would like them to have too. Because you have a say a little
yeah,
bit,
for sure.
because your pockets and things of that sort. But again, communication is
Compromise.
things
That's
that's
where
important.
compromise come in. And a good
Yes.
compromise, and if both parties felt like they could have got more, that's a good compromise.
Right.
Because
Right.
you should feel like, dang, I could have got more, but that's called being greedy too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling like, hey, there could have been more that could have got on both sides. In my opinion, that's a good compromise because you've
Yes.
both given just enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's pretty decent.
And knowing the situation, because like they did like a meme of, if a guy got your ring from Walmart, how would you feel? Sometimes people get caught up on the actual piece, but what was the motive behind it? It was genuine. It was love. It was, all the years of time that you put in. Yes, this is it. Know what's important and what is not, and knowing how important it is or not. That's big pieces of knowing, was it important for it to be 5 carat, or was it important for him to propose to you? Because
Hmm.
that's your person. You want to be with them forever.
Yeah,
Some years down the line, it
right,
could, change to something else. But
right. Because things have changed with me too. Things have changed with my wife, and we're growing together. We went from
mhm,
having pretty much no kids to 3 kids, and
mhm, mhm,
from so many changes have happened. We went from renting to owning.
mhm,
And a lot of aspects of our life. We own our home, we own our
mhm.
vehicles. So
Yes,
it's like again, it's just like you see yourself, growing, and you also see yourself growing alongside with another person.
yes,
And again, just in my opinion, it's a really good feeling. You know what I mean? Especially when you got somebody that full fledgedly. You're both on the same page. You may not be on the same sentence, but at least you're on the same page with each other. And you're just running. You're just run. You're running life. You're not letting life run you. You know what I mean?
yes, yes.
You're,
Running life, not letting it run you. Good. I want to go to this comment and ask a question regarding it, and then I want to ask you to sum us up. This has been great. But she said, Tori was saying it is really important to see how someone responds in various situations, especially under pressure or when they are upset, because the real them will begin to come out. I saw the post a couple weeks ago, and it was saying, "Hey, guy, take off 21 days from your job and tell her you got laid off from work or you got fired. I'm gonna see how she responds."
that's game. That's just playing games with somebody. First off, I seen that and I was just like, first off, I'm not taking 21 days off my job straight for none of that stuff. If you need to do that in order to know the type of person that you're dealing with, chances are you probably already know the type of person you're dealing with. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
have that happen
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to recognize that this person isn't for you. So I wouldn't run any games like that. That's just me personally. I wouldn't try to test my partner in that kind of way. Life
Mm-hmm.
tests are going to happen regardless. Life challenges are going to happen regardless. Relationship
Yes.
challenges and tests are going to happen, without you even, pushing any buttons. So don't create any. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So again, no, I'm not with the the game plan, seeing if this person's a ride or any of that stuff. That's definitely very immature. And again, you just lost. You just literally. You literally just took off vacation days. That could have been
Yeah.
time spent with your family. Like I could think of a lot of different ways to spend 21 vacation
Yes.
days, and a lot of people not even breaking it down for really what it's worth. That's a month for real.
Yeah.
You work 5 days out the week, to be quite
Yes.
honest. Like I'm
Mhm.
just, at least I do. I work 5 days out the week.
Yes.
So if I take off 21 days, that's a whole month,
Yes.
an entire month. And I'm doing all of this to get a reaction or response out of a person. And again, I also don't believe too much, not wholeheartedly, at least. I cannot say it's not some truth to it, but again, I don't believe that when you see a person in a different element, sometimes, what if you just caught that person on a bad day? What if you just caught
Mm-hmm.
that person in a bad moment?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, it's not to say that they aren't glimpses or things you should be aware of
Right.
within that. But
Right.
again, that's why again communication is key because you want to at least try it. You don't want to just when the incident incident happened and it's like blowed up or something's blown up. You
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of revisit that and just at least gently or softly approach it like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
what happened here, what was going on here. You know, not I felt some type of way. I felt
Yes.
scared. I felt nervous when
Mm-hmm.
I seen you react that way
Mm-hmm.
because this happened to me in a previous situation, or it took me back to a time where. So again, that's why I said communication is super key on that level because um again, when you kind of leave that door cracked and you don't address certain things, like
Mm-hmm.
especially something that was like an argument, disagreement, a blow up or something, you know, the floodgates, for lack of a better word, the floodgates are now open. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, be careful playing games because you never know how it's gonna come back. That person may be supportive. That person may be like, "What?"
yeah,
and
they
then
may
upset.
dip, and then it's like like I said before, it's like I knew that person was like that. Yeah, but again, did you need 21 vacation days off to know that? Now you still took the vacation days.
Yes.
They done left on you within by day 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like like I said before, just this that's just not that's not a good way to find out or try to put someone to. I'm just not into tests. Testing.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's not something I would advise or recommend to anybody that's in a relationship. And again, I keep saying, if you think you need to test your person,
Mm-hmm.
chances are you already know the answer to the test.
You
So
already know the answer, and it's not something to play around with. I watch a couple of YouTube. Again, I'm always into relationship things and that sort of just learning from or seeing other people and things. And like some of the couples that do the pranks, it works for some, it doesn't work for
yeah,
others.
that's cool. That's cool. That's their again. That's their thing. That's their love language. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is. They like to have fun. They like to play
Mm-hmm.
jokes on each other. Yeah, I don't play those thing games. Me,
Yeah.
me, me
Mm-hmm.
either. I don't
They could
approach.
go too far. It's
Yeah,
one couple that I did see and I appreciate and respected them because they would at the end of the prank he would say, "But hey, do you feel that way? Is that how he wanted to follow back up?" And I respected that because one, he didn't have to do that. Two, I appreciated that it was on camera from having that conversation of, "No, let's really talk about this." And she's like, "No, that's not. It was just a prank and things of that sort. I'm sorry and things because sometimes they can go too far." But
they
you just want to be careful of the tricks and games that you play because you may be looking for a new boo in cuffing season because cuffing season really doesn't mean you have one person. It could have more than one person. But you be careful playing them games too
yeah,
because
even the small game that they might small games that people play. I had a game played on me where it was like a young lady I was messing with would send somebody over there to talk to me I didn't know, and see if he bites or something like that. And
mm-hmm.
if I didn't bite, which I didn't, then I was loyal. My loyalty was tested, and I was thorough. And it's like all of this other stuff, and it was just like, what if that girl just wasn't my type?
Right,
Like
right.
you just sent the wrong girl my way.
Right.
That
You
was that
sent
was
three more. That fourth one might be it. You gotta
yeah,
be careful because you're gonna be upset, heartbroken.
Or if I was just smart enough to not, respond to something like that in a public space. So
Mm-hmm.
again, yeah, like I said before, tests can, you know, they can also not work out. They don't work out for you in no kind of way. Period. That's
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. Whether it's you finding out something about your partner because you sent somebody their way, whether you found out
Mm-hmm.
something about your partner because you've tried to push a button and see how they would react. They
Yes.
don't know, tests don't normally work out.
Don't normally work out. It was a good conversation. I always like talking about relationships and life and different things of that sort. Um, I truly grateful. We had a little snafu, but it worked out. So
Yeah,
grateful.
cool.
What are some things that we may have touched on, may not have touched on that you want viewers to walk away with on tonight?
Mm, yeah. Be don't be so hard on yourself. That's what I would say when you just don't when I say don't be so hard on yourself, don't have so many you know rigid expectations of where you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to be handling business. Just that's just something I know um really bothered me at a point in time when I felt as though how could I be of value to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I wasn't where I was supposed to be at. But at the same time, nobody's really where they're supposed to be at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're looking around at other people and you don't know how they've obtained what they've gotten or anything like that. So it's just super important to just focus on yourself. Like don't be too hard on yourself. Like be easier with yourself. Give yourself an opportunity to grow. Give yourself an opportunity to develop. Um, anything that you might have, again, anything that you might have made a mistake on or done in the past, or something that you may feel like you being too hard on yourself about. Process it, let it go, and do your best to just be vulnerable a bit, vulnerable in the sense that, learning yourself a bit more and being open to new experiences, and, getting to know yourself on a different level. So that's what I would do. Just don't be so hard on yourself, and, be vulnerable also with yourself. And again, in the sense of trying to explore and learn new things, and just being open to new experiences. Because the reason why is because you just don't know who you may meet or who you may run into while engaging in those things. Like, if you're going to keep doing the same old, normally you end up with the same old results, so you kind of got to, again, expand your palette. So that's what I mean by that. So that when you're being vulnerable with yourself in that kind of way, again, doing things that you may not normally do, even if it's just like, like I said before, going to the, sitting inside the cafe and having your coffee to drink and your breakfast, or you know going to the gym a little bit more often, um joining a book club, whatever. Just doing something that, again, just adds value to your life, but also gets you a little bit vulnerable and gets you around different spaces, get you around different people, have you experience different things.
Mm, that was good. Ooh, and it's hard sometimes, but there's some benefits in doing that because you
Mm.
get to really know who you are. Because I can't really tell somebody else what it is I like and don't like if I don't know what it is I like and don't like.
Yep, remember that list: 10, 10, and 10.
Yep, 10 and
Likes,
10. We got
dislikes.
homework, friends. 10 things you like, 10 things you don't like. I'm going to go to this last comment that Tori shared.
Okay.
She said, yes, communication is key. Keep an eye out for patterns as it could be Okay, as it could be a possible sign of trauma. However, time reveals things. Red flag, any person who says that their previous relationship was all the other person's fault. Ain't that the truth?
Mm.
We all have to take ownership for our own actions as well, whether we fail to act or fail to respond properly. Yes,
Yeah, I
it's so
always
important.
I said that the way just where it all fell down at my past relationship. I remember she asked me like, why did I do it? And I remember saying, like, she kept applying pressure, like, why, like, why did you do it, why did you do it, like, just tell me, like, finally, just trying to get squeeze it out of me. I'm like, I'm really sitting here thinking, like, yo, like, what was it? Like, really, I was put on the spot, and like, I was being selfish. And
Mm-hmm.
literally, she, like, maybe because she was in the heat of the moment, she's like, that's not good enough. And I told I was talking to my friend about it. I'm like, I'm like, no, this is my real answer. He was like, what did you say? I'm like, I told her I was being selfish. He literally looked at me like, was just like, that was, because he was older than me. He was like, that was actually a really good and mature answer, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
was being selfish. That's
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I don't know why she didn't accept it. But again, we that's that person's perception. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why they didn't. Maybe it was just like I said before, she was just height. It was at the height of an emotional moment at the time. But again, yeah, I wanted to have a relationship for convenience and have somebody I could call on and get with anytime I want. But at the same time, I wanted to be able to move and be around and about, and being able to court other people. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do all. I wanted to do both things. That's the, I guess you could say,
Hey, you can eat it too, right?
that one. Yeah, I was about to say, like, so I wanted to do those things. And you just want to be careful, when you're moving into cuffing season, because not everybody's in cuffing season for monogamy. Okay, okay, so that's a key thing. So
Oh, wait a minute there. See, I'm trying to let you go. I saw the post the other day. What's his name? Michael Basin, I think it is. He posted a really powerful post, and he was saying that of how um you get in a relationship with somebody thinking that they want to be one person, but they want to be with more people. So are you okay with that or you're not okay with that? Because they're saying how things are changing things. And sometimes you do want to be with somebody that's going to be with that one person. But then you have these stories of the woman that's married but got two boyfriends, or the man that's married and got two girlfriends, or married and has a girlfriend. So finding out what dynamic works for you, I can't judge. Whatever you want to do works for you. That ain't my household. I ain't got to worry about it. But being honest with yourself for what it is that you want and what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate.
yeah, it's a lid to every pot. You don't have to force it to fit.
Mm.
That person don't got, that person's not, aligning with some of the core key things that you would like to be in a relationship. Like, if polygamy is not something you're like, I'm not dealing with multiple people,
Mm-hmm.
hey, then you don't have to deal with multiple people. It's really that simple.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to try to, what's the word, remold it, or try to,
Yes.
make, you don't have to make the puzzle piece fit. It's not a
Yes.
fit. Just again, move on to the next piece. That's it. And no justifications. Not, well, if the piece was a little bit, flatter, or it was a little bit more curved on the side. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part we gotta just, again. That's the part where, again, I had to really start telling myself about things like, hey, it's just what it is, and
Yes.
you have to really accept that and do your best to process it, and most importantly, move past it,
Move
because
past it.
because again, holding on to that person, or trying to, again, make this person something that they're not, that's just added stress and burden in my book, and again, leads to that baggage that we was talking about earlier, leads to you
Mm-hmm.
carrying that to those other relationships, leads to you
Mm-hmm.
treating that next person that may really be for you different.
Treating that person that may really be for you different, and you miss out on opportunity. And even in sometimes like the walls that we put up, we got to be careful because we could miss out on something that could be amazing. So really, again,
They'll
learning more.
scale that wall. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. Any wall that would got put up for me, and not in a bad way. Hopefully I don't sound forceful with that, but I mean, as
Mm-hmm.
far as like, I'm going to be there for that person. If you got the
Mm-hmm.
fences and stuff like that put up, if I'm really there for that person,
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait outside your wall. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'll wait till you tear it down. I know it'll come down eventually. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, all walls have to be reinforced after a certain point in time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So again, it's just like, you know what I mean. Yeah, even if a person puts walls up, if, as the pursuer, if you believe this person's worth it, and you really got interest in this person, and you have the maturity to be patient with this individual, that's another level of relationship. That's,
Mm-hmm.
something that I believe should be practiced. Not everybody has it, but you should start to practice that patience. Then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would stand 10 toes down with that person, and just, do my best to, again, let them know, like, I'm here for you, I'm available when you need me. Yeah, like I said before, it's just another level of care for that person.
Mm. So important. Maturity, y'all. They got to be mature to be able to do the things that we ask them to do. What you see, she said, yes, allow the car to be moved or towed from the garage to have the right car pulled into our garage. Yes,
Repo, get that thing
yes.
repo.
Get
We got
rid of it. So good, so good. This was really great. I thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I was sharing with some friends. I was like, yeah, he did great. We had a day of hope, and he was a guest,
remember,
a
yeah,
fill in, and did an amazing job. I was so sad I couldn't stay in your session the whole time, but we are doing another one, and you already know I'm going to definitely reach out. It's going to be in person next year,
yeah.
to really
Hey,
just be able
all
to
right,
educate.
cool. Yeah, I'm about to say, now I can get to wear some clothes. I have my makeup
Yes,
on, but I'll wear some clothes, make sure my hair cut up good. You
yes,
know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I got you. I got you.
Yes, yes, it's gonna be amazing. Just to again be able to instill these things in our younger people so that they can know as they get
Yeah,
older. Because I'm hoping that the older ones have learned tonight and are remembering some importance of really again having their boundaries. Because you get to a certain point, you was like, I just want to be with somebody. Uh,
and sometimes these type of conversations are really good for young adults too, because I feel like it gives them another sense of who we are as adults. I don't know. Maybe sometimes maybe I'm wrong, but sometimes I feel like as young adults, they look at adults like, we must have come out the womb established already. Like, like we've never made mistakes. I don't know. I know they know it. Like we'll tell them, like, we made mistakes too. And it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, you made mistakes. I know. Like, it's just like they don't understand that we really, really do get it. Now, it might
Mhm.
be, again, a different era and different things happening, but
Mhm. Mhm.
it's all
Nothing
generally,
new under the sun.
yeah, yes, it's all generally the same.
Mhm.
It's the same thing. It's like I don't know. I'm being real metaphorical, I guess, tonight, but it's like the ocean. Like, they got the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. I
Mhm.
can get to each and every last one of these oceans. One way or another, they're all connected. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So it's like, you know, yeah. That's just how I look at that. But yeah,
That's it. But the part that I love is that the adults that do remember where they have come from
yeah,
can pour into the young people and say, oh, no, no, I was there too. Or no, I did that too. Oh, no, I was heartbroken too. And things of that sort, because some of us forget where we did come from and then you
right,
can't help pull them up. And that's the people I
yeah,
don't want to be. I want to help those people get on the right path,
yeah.
but I really want to help those people like, no, I messed up too. I didn't make good decisions too. If I could turn back the hand of time, I would. However, I'm grateful for the opportunity or the experience because it helps me to help you be a better version of you.
Yeah, and again, just as an ending statement, I know we were trying to wrap it up, but
Yeah.
again, that's why I was so vulnerable tonight. I let people know, like, hey, I did cheat in past relationships. I don't,
Mm-hmm,
I would never dare thinking about cheating on my
mm-hmm,
wife. I haven't talked to nobody, I haven't entertained anybody,
mm-hmm,
nothing. You know what I mean? I don't do that. I don't do the sorry I'm married. I say no, I'm married. It's
mm-hmm,
sorry I'm
mm-hmm,
married or sorry I'm in a relationship versus no I'm in a relationship is two different things. I
mm-hmm,
saw that meme and I super well video and I super agreed with that person.
mm-hmm.
Sorry I'm in a relationship is oh sorry I would get with you or whatever, but I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. No, I'm in a relationship means no,
Yes.
thank you,
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you,
Yes.
your gesture, but not interested. I'm fully committed and I'm happy.
Mm. And that's another topic of those that hear that but still want to think that they could do something. Respect, because you don't want that to come back on you. And I try to tell people that they don't believe me listening.
Yeah, because and respect is deeper than treating other people with respect. Respect is about myself. Again,
Yes.
hey, again, I'm not a cheater. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a thief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not any of those things. So I don't put that out in the world. It's just that
Yes.
simple. So you just want to always make sure you're holding yourself to your own standard. That's respect.
Mm. Hold yourself to your own standard. So good. Yes. So good. Thank you again so much. This was great.
Yeah,
And
not
again, I ain't gonna hold you because this is good. This is good. Let me see. Tori said, I am 49, single, and I'd be damned if I settle down. The devil is a liar. And the horse he rode in on, as my mom says.
for sure.
Yes.
That is
Look,
for
you gotta
that's for sure.
know.
That is for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, like I said, yeah, for sure. No settling. People have gotten married at any age, so
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's still a goal of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And by all means, let it still be a goal of yours because
Yes.
again, it's no age limit on when you find the person that's for you.
Mhm. And if anything, it sounds like you wanted to be matured. He shared the way he came from and where he got to. So if they ain't at that point to be matured and ready to stand there and support you when them walls are up, to stand there and support you with what you're going through, and you do the same thing for them, when
Mhm.
they being honest to you, when you get there.
And it's not an age frame on that either. We was talking about
Right.
that too. It's not an age frame on,
Yes.
I'm 32 and I've done this work, roughly since I was about like 24, 25 years old, just trying to,
Mm-hmm.
it's reestablish my train of thought and what it means to me to be a man and of value or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, somebody could be literally 45, 55,
Yes.
65, and have not even had a shred, not even think
Mm-hmm.
about it, ain't even came close to thinking about none of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what it looks like. They Ray Charles to it. They don't even want to see. They just
They Ray Charles to it. Yo,
they
I
don't even
can't.
want to look.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yo, can't even see it. Can't even see it. Ray Charles to it. I'll use that. But yeah, it's important. So again, friends, I hope that y'all walked away with something that was impactful. Uh, this was good. Please rewatch it again in case you missed something. I'm going to rewatch it again. I always like rewatching again because I always find something new.
Yes,
Um,
discussion.
and grateful for the opportunity. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. May you have a great evening. Congrats to you and your family and everything that you guys are doing. And thank you for the service that you're doing to help the children of the future learn about health relationships and um, being able to express themselves.
Yeah, not a problem. Like I said, anything I can do to be of service, especially to the young adults of the city. They got an uphill battle they climbing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they need all the resources, love, understanding, language,
Yes.
information that we could possibly get. So if I can share it and give it to them in a way that makes sense and
Mhm.
it's home for them, then I'm always going to be open and available for that.
That's it. That's it. Love to hear it. Thank you again so very much for joining us. May you have a great evening.
Yes, ma'am, not a problem. And thank you for having me tonight.
Anytime. Anytime.
All right.
All right. Tonight we had Levone Canady. Yo, friends, that was good. Did you learn something new? I really enjoyed that. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Crystal said, respect is about me. Absolutely. You want respect and you want them to give you respect. But hey, you have to respect yourself enough to say, this is my boundary. I'm not going for you being with Sam. What D-Max say was Brenda Letitia. No, you can't be with all them different people. If that's your boundary, stand up for it because you want to respect you, okay? Cammy said, definitely need to start from the beginning. This was great. Absolutely. He did that, dropping some good gems. And I always like hearing from the male perspective because, I give my girls all the time. I know what we're going to say, but let's hear what the other side is saying. Let's see what they saying, how they can help us out. Tori said, excellent. Yes, know your worth. Absolutely. It is so important to know your worth because if you don't know your worth, people will treat you like your pennies, and you are worth more than that. Mario said you're a dime plus 99. That was more than $1, but I mean, we know what he was saying. Okay, know your worth. Okay, we are amazing. We are precious. Someone sent me a message this morning saying that I was precious, and I had to look up the word of precious, and the definition was that I was valuable, I was costly, I was expensive, I was high priced, I was dear, I am invaluable. And guess what, we are precious, and we have to know our value. And in knowing your value, you have to know what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want. So make sure you do your homework. 10 things you like, 10 things you don't like, so that you can know what it is that you're looking for when it comes. You was like, that ain't what I'm looking for. That ain't what I need. You might be it. But also, hey, I'm always about Jesus too. So seek Jesus. Find out if it's a situation that you should be in or a situation that you should not be in. Because sometimes he lets us know when we still get in those situations. And we could have avoided them. But amen. The quote of the day, don't forget it. Each relationship nurtures a strength or weakness within you. And that is by Mike Murdoch. Again, each relationship nurtures a strength or weakness within you. So, what are the relationships in your life doing? Are they helping you to be stronger? Are they helping you to be weaker? Let's evaluate. Do your boundaries at 10 plus and 10 negatives. Are they helping you? If not, then we got a problem. Be sure to join us next week. Next week, we're going to have Yvonne McCoy talking about Speak Up. It's going to be good. This whole month is really talking about some stuff that we do talk about, that we don't talk about, that we need to talk about a little bit more. And I love you. That's why we do it. And I hope that you really do enjoy that which we put on to help us have some good conversations, or at least to get us thinking about some things. Again, I truly, truly thank each and every one of you for joining me on tonight. May you have a great evening. Come back and watch it again. Share it with somebody. Or at least keep that conversation going. But until next time, I love you all for real. Good night.